Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturgio and Chris Gucci.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Thursday. Week number 17 is here. I cannot wait. This is my first, outside of Thanksgiving night, is my first Thursday night football game for my squad. So the Cowboys are in action tonight, playing the Titans. We'll get into that in a little bit. Dave Sturgio, Chris Gucci checking for last-minute updates on the old app over there. And, of course, A5 Anthony behind the glass here at Chop Studios. I hope everybody's doing well out there. I hope everybody's enduring the crazy news that we got yesterday before we get into the game. We got a significant benching happening over in the NFL and the AFC West. The Las Vegas Raiders decided something that Chris may or may not have said a couple weeks ago. Listen, I give flowers when it's due. You said something like this. Derek Carr might be done in Las Vegas. We're like, how can you say that? I can't believe you said that, blah, blah, blah. Devante, blah, blah. Next thing you know.
This is a business.
Yesterday, the decision comes down, and it is official. Derek Carr has been benched for the last 2 games of the year, and now Josh McDaniels will turn to Jarrett Stidham, former New England Patriots backup quarterback. Jarrett Stidham, now you're like, oh, wait a minute. There you go. Some correlation there. So, interesting move. Obviously, corresponding moves on the market. Carr stock falls a little bit. Stidham's opportunities will seize the day. Do you agree with the move?
I do agree with the move from a football standpoint in the sense that I think it's time to move on from Derek Carr in Vegas. I understand that they brought in Devante Adams because they had the best friends. He's my best friend. Well, your best friend's out. And I feel bad for Devante in some regards, but at the same time, he should have known the nature of the beast. And Derek Carr has been anything but consistent in his NFL career. Devante was calling him a Hall of Famer in the offseason. I mean, that's a far stretch. But I'm just going to break down what I think the ripple effect has here. First of all, it says on your notes, are we out on the Raiders for this Sunday? Absolutely out. I was out on them anyway because the 49ers defense is stout, right? And Devante, just with Derek Carr in the last 3 games, 19 catches. That's what I was doing in the breakdown. 19 catches, less than 120 yards, I believe, combined over 3 games. In the fourth quarter this season, Derek Carr is connecting to Devante on less than 50% of the targets. So in crunch time, he's going to him more and connecting way less. Derek Carr leading the NFL in picks, et cetera, et cetera. It's just not a good spot, not a good situation for the Raiders. But moving forward, the ripple effect. Jarrett Stidham, I'm going short on him because the 49ers are just going to eat his lunch all day long.
Yeah, that might be a bad situation.
Raiders' offensive line has been solid run blocking, but pass blocking is just nope. And now there's even more of a ripple effect outside of this coming Sunday and the rest of this season. It's like Jurassic Park with a big thing, boom, and you just. This opens up a lot of questions because we've talked at length about which teams are in the market for a quarterback, and we kind of earmarked the Raiders as a potential one because of how they might be picking early in the draft. This might lead to Derek Carr being out. Now, they don't pick as early in the draft, but I think
they did that to themselves by winning some games.
But I think there may or may not be a free agent quarterback pending, right, that everyone thinks may retire or may not, depending on where you go, where you lie on this side of the fence or not. But I think that there's a real chance that the rumors start to ramp up that Tom Brady to Vegas. It makes sense because he could go wherever he wants, right? Tom Brady's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, which is a scary thought in some ways. He is 71. But he also has about 60 years of tenure with Josh McDaniels as his OC. And I read a crazy stat.
How is that relationship, I wonder?
I would imagine that it's probably better than we think. I would imagine that Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels have a better relationship than Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had. And I think McDaniels was always the go-between between those guys.
The mediator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
common sense of it
there's a real chance that we see Brady in Vegas. And I think Derek Carr, I said this also way back, that I think Derek Carr might end up in Tampa. Now, that wouldn't be by a trade because it's just not going to work that way. But it kind of shakes out like that could be a potential thing. Another thing that I thought of, and really it wasn't me, it was my buddy Joe and I were sitting kind of talking through the situation yesterday, and he said, Jordan Love's talking about wanting to be traded. Maybe Devante could politic a little bit to get his other, maybe
they have such a rapport.
Maybe they spoke a couple times.
Yeah, maybe they sent a happy birthday text on Facebook. But these are things that
it opens up a Pandora's box of options for the offseason. And now I have to break this down a little bit more because I didn't really do a deep enough dive into it because the news is just breaking. But I'm excited to see, A, what happens with the Raiders quarterback situation. B, is Devante, if they don't fix it, is he going to demand a trade? And if so, are the Raiders going to be able to get the haul that they just gave up for him? I don't know.
They could probably get something back.
We had Dave whispering in my ear that maybe Rodgers to Vegas, and I had to slap him.
No, first of all, I blocked it. Second of all, why not? If I don't foresee it. To me, the Packers' more likely scenario would be to get rid of Rodgers than get rid of Jordan Love if Jordan Love is the guy that they thought he would be. So shipping him over for a couple twos would probably do it for the Raiders and for the Packers. I don't foresee him being worth any ones.
If there is a trade that goes down this offseason, it will probably be draft day trade. If you don't think that Aaron Rodgers is netting a one,
AJ Brown.
If you don't think Aaron Rodgers nets a one,
I promise you, I'll bet my entire Mojo stock portfolio on this that Aaron Rodgers does not warrant a first-round pick from anybody.
I'm just going to say this: Dave's less confident than he was this morning. Based on what he was willing just now to bet compared to what he was willing to bet an hour ago. Dave is feeling less confident.
First of all, it was like 15 minutes ago. Second of all, listen. I don't think. Look, Aaron Rodgers is about to be 40 years old. There's no.
What happens if the Packers run the table and win the Super Bowl this year? Then is Aaron Rodgers traded?
Stop! How early? What's in the coffee this morning, man? Good Lord! Look, yeah. Listen, I want the Packers to be hired guns this year. To be honest with you, I want them to get to 7. I want them to win the first round. I want them to go to Philly and beat Philly, and then I want the ultimate revenge. I want the Cowboys to beat the Packers in the NFC title game. Oh, give it to me. Mike McCarthy, revenge.
I love to give it to you.
Pause. Anyway, so moving on. We got ourselves a football game tonight. Speaking of my beloved Dallas Cowboys, they got themselves a game tonight. It is Thursday Night Football, week number 17. The Cowboys traveling to Tennessee, and the Cowboys rocking their all-iced white new alternate helmets, all that. First of all, I hate that stuff. It looks great. They look awesome. It looks sharp, right? Sharp.
Here's the get off my lawn
No.
No.
This is the... I hate when they wear new things because they typically don't show up when they wear new things. That's my thing. And
really?
Look, I know that's probably not even a real stat.
That's just not even a real stat.
I mean, last year they wore the stupid red stripe on their helmet and they played their worst game of the season. Then they wore it again this year and they won. So I was like, all right, cool.
It's ugly. The red stripe is ugly.
Bicentennial.
But I don't care what it is. It's ugly. And the second aspect of this is if I have all white uniform on, I'm scoring 2 touchdowns that game no matter what.
So you just got I'm clean.
Yeah, if you look good, that whole thing. You
Dion,
look good,
he's my guy.
Et cetera.
But in any
I feel like that was Jerry Rice first.
It was definitely Dion, but try again. What are we doing with the Titans here as far as plays on the Mojo Market?
Nothing.
It seems like everybody is being benched or rested or listed as doubtful, or Vrabel has made it very clear that tonight is like a walkthrough and next week is the AFC South Division Championship game on how that worked out for the season. The Jaguars went on a surge and all of a sudden the Titans lose their 5 straight.
No, this game there's no way you're getting it on a Titan in this game. Derrick Henry's not going to play. Not even going to.
What about like a Haskins or a Hillard or any of these guys? No cheap play. The Cowboys are susceptible to the run. Look, if there was ever a get-right game, sure, this could be it, but I don't know.
If you're looking to gamble, I guess you can make a play on Hilliard because there's potential for him to do well. The Cowboys have been susceptible, giving up chunk rush yards, but really, there's nothing to speak of in the pass game for the Titans. So I could imagine that the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to show up. They need the game because they're playing. They don't have to scoreboard watch. Philly plays on Sunday.
It's a standalone game, so that's why I've been saying all week.
They 100% need to show up in this game because if they don't, then they could watch the division slip away on a Thursday night. They don't want to do that. The Titans have no business even lining up in this game because nothing matters in it. There's precedent in the Mike Vrabel coach team.
For disaster.
Stop it. Shut your mouth.
I'm getting nervous.
There's precedent in a Mike Vrabel coach team where he's rested guys in a game that did not matter, and Derrick Henry was relatively healthy at the time. This is a playoff situation going forward for the Titans. They don't need this game. They should not be playing their starters, and they will not. So Cowboys.
What about a Malik Willis play? Short?
Short.
Think he's going to just get?
Here's the thing. I'm apprehensive to short anybody in this game because I guess you can short them because they're not going to play well, but I don't expect even a bad performance out of the Titans is going to net much of a gain in terms of the Mojo Market because the expectations is that they're not going to play well in this game. The point spread moved from 11 or 10
It was 10 to 12, now it's 12.5.
So, yeah, it's like all signs point towards beatdown in Tennessee tonight.
All right, so Dallas offense?
Yeah, everybody.
Sure. Zeke. Pollard's also on the mend right now with a thigh injury, so maybe a full Zeke day.
I guess you could say the Titans have had success stopping the run this year, if there is success to be had for the Titans.
All right.
It was more so in the beginning of the season, and it's kind of dissipated a little bit. Dallas obviously is a run-first team, and they build everything off of that. But in this game, I feel like it's just going to be the air attack because the Titans are one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and why not hit them?
Prescott coming off a very, very good performance against Philly last week, and of course CeeDee Lamb has been balling out.
What has CeeDee got, 90 catches?
He's up. He's very close to 100.
Might end up
and he's
with
got over
100
1,000
after
yards.
today.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, heavy on the Cowboys. Maybe not so much on the Titans. That's your Thursday Night Football preview.
It's really CeeDee, but I'm already in on CeeDee. So.
T.Y. Hilton against the AFC South.
T.Y. Hilton might not have
familiar
territory. He might not have another catch.
Oh,
geez,
come on,
but
man.
It wouldn't matter. He had his one.
Oh, okay. There's the moment.
well, I mean, like when you bring in guys like that, you're not expecting T.Y. Hilton to line up 40 times a game, and you gotta have a catch, a first down here or there. And
well, sometimes it takes a catch like that to be like, oh, we got this guy. He's all right over there.
T.Y. Hilton sat on his couch all season for a reason. He's a good player to be added at this point.
Third
but you don't think
30.
You don't think T.Y. Hilton is going to catch like 8 balls in a
No.
game?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying
not. They'll be in
this
trouble.
is familiar territory for T.Y.
Come
Just
on.
do my thing. All right, moving on. We got some interesting things to talk about real quick, and these are day trades. Okay, these are the guys that we think are going to be very, very pertinent or important to your Mojo portfolio.
You think you're going to do well Sunday
this week,
or not?
Usually, and tomorrow we'll get right back into the groove of previewing some of the games with some of the marquee games. But today we'd like to give you a couple plays we think that if you slap some multipliers on these guys, that you can make some money really quick and turn it around and potentially sell it on Monday morning when the market opens. So we'll start with Brock Purdy. Now, look, there are a lot of things have been said about the guy and how he's not lighting up the scoreboard, but he remains consistent. All right, not lighting up the scoreboard. I meant his statistical day. He's got 8 touchdowns and 3 picks since coming on as a quarterback for the 49ers. Not a lot of yards, but he's very, very efficient, right? He's not turning the ball over. His turnover to touchdown ratio is nice right now. Not bad, but the Raiders are in complete disarray right now. So this could be a very, very big play. And not to mention, the 49ers potentially could move up as high as 2, or, I mean, if push came to shove, they could probably get up to as high as 1, to be honest with you. But right now, they're still, because they're down, I believe, 1 game or 2 games from the Eagles. If the Eagles lose out and they win out, they might actually have the tiebreaker over the Dallas Cowboys. So I don't know. As far as the NFC goes, I don't know. But all I know is this. The 49ers have a chance to up their seeding, so they will try to do that. And it's against a really bad Raiders team who have just literally punted on the season. So I know you like him. I like him. There is a 2-time multiplier on all his good stuff today. His price is super, super low, and he's been on a nice upward trajectory. I'm in on Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy is loaded with weapons around him, and there's another weapon that might be returning this week. I've heard that Debo is now officially listed as questionable. And a lot of the times when I look at this, I see, all right, he's questionable. So I go over to the fantasy team that I have him on, and I check his projections, and it looks like it's a fairly reasonable questionable. It's not like 6 points. He's projected to have some points. So I think there's a real good chance that Debo plays in this game. I know that my analysis and basing it off of my fantasy projections isn't necessarily the most realistic approach here. But at the same time, there is a chance Debo plays. I think they'd probably be better off holding him out in this one because the San Francisco offense is going to roll against the Raiders defense.
Man. It's the Raiders.
And on the flip side of things, they're going to play with a short field all game. I don't know. The Raiders are playing for nothing, so they might have that element of things where they go for it on
49ers might win this game by 40.
But I see more realistically, I see the 49ers just dominating this game. Brock Purdy at the helm. You could look for probably 2 touchdowns. They might run the ball in a couple times with CMC, but when you score 40 points in a game, which I fully anticipate them doing on Sunday,
yeah, I think so too.
There's going to be touchdowns aplenty. So Brock Purdy, I'm in on. I'm actually starting him in my fantasy finals because I'm no Kyler.
Best of luck to you. A big play because of what's offered on Mojo is A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon has himself a 15-time multiplier attached to his name. And right now, A.J. Dillon has had 10-plus carries in the last 3 games, specifically a big game against Chicago a couple weeks back. I think A.J. Dillon has a very, very good opportunity against a very, very, piss-poor Minnesota defense overall. I understand it's a lot on the secondary, but let's be honest. The Vikings have given up a lot of points.
Yeah, their defense is not good.
Right, so I do see an Aaron Jones type game, but man, when that bowling ball gets inside the 10, it's hard not to deny A.J. Dillon. He's one of the better put your shoulder down and burrow people over. A.J. Dillon's a very, very sneaky good player.
This is a game where we're talking about the Vikings. They're setting NFL records for point differential in a season with the team with as many wins as they've had. They've set the bar and they reset the bar week in, week out, every week where they have a close 1-point game. Now, there's something to be said about the Vikings where they win all these close games, but, you know, there's also, in my opinion, some room for regression there because things aren't always going to go your way. There's that Buffalo game. They had the win last week against the Giants. Like, a lot of crazy wins. And again, I tip my hat because that's a testament to the coaching staff, and realistically, it's a testament to Kirk Cousins. So look, A.J. Dillon is, in the cold weather games, they tend to lean on him a little bit more, and Aaron Jones has been limited in practice this week. Really, last week, we didn't see much of Aaron Jones, and nobody knew why. It turns out that he had a little bit of an injury situation happening. And in the cold weather games, we know Green Bay likes to lean a little bit more on A.J. Dillon. With Aaron Jones being banged up, the defense giving up all the points. Minnesota's defense, this is what I was talking about before. The point differential is insane. As many points as they've scored this year, they've only allowed like 3 less. So their offense is elite. That means their defense is the opposite of elite. And most offenses that play them become elite. So I'm looking at A.J.
And the Green Bay Packers absolutely have to have it.
Need the game.
Have to
They're
have it.
going to run the ball.
The Vikings are in, and they've won the NFC North. So you have to assume that the Vikings are on. But you got to watch out because the Vikings also know that's like, all right, the Niners are breathing right down our necks. And if we want to keep the 2 to potentially play these Packers, you know, you have to get this game. All right, sneaky play here coming up next. I kind of disagree, but you convinced us to put it on here.
But yeah, we have to. A little risky here.
Michael Carter, the third, running back in the New York Jets, right? There's a 5-time multiplier on him right now. To me, this is a little bit of a desperate play, but so are the Jets. The Jets need to have this game. They got Seattle. Seattle needs to have this game. So I personally think that this one's a risky play, but from what we saw out of Bam Knight the last couple weeks, this is why a Michael Carter might excel here in Seattle.
I'm going to pull up Carter's month chart.
Yeah, it hasn't. Look, as far as Bam Knight is concerned, last week against Jacksonville, nowhere to be found at all. So this is why this might be a play.
All right, so Bam Knight, realistically, over his last 2 games, he has 19 carries for 21 yards.
Yikes.
So that's not going to get it done in the NFL.
The whole 1 yard to carry thing.
Now, you could say, okay, Bam Knight's not getting it done. Nobody's getting it done. If you look at the Jets entirely last week, they had
the defense is getting it
10 carries for 11 yards. So nobody's running the ball well for the Jets in the backfield. That said, if I'm looking at this Jets backfield, who's the most proven guy in a game that they definitely are desperate to get a W in? And that's Michael Carter. He's had splashes. And just talking about Bam Knight, he's nicked up a little bit. I know that they had the extra rest because of the Thursday game. But even with the extra rest, what are they looking for? Are they looking for, 1.1 yard per carry?
No.
Now, on the flip side of that, what Michael Carter offers in the pass game, Bam Knight does not. And who's the other guy that they have over there? Is it Ty?
Ty Johnson?
Ty Johnson. He's not really much of a pass catcher either. And last week, I know it was an abysmal offensive game for the Jets, but who was it that paced the Jets in targets and receptions? It was Michael Carter. So while they're desperate to get the ground game going, this guy offers a little bit more than just the rushing attack. And he has had spurts this year where he looked good. I've been in on Michael Carter since the beginning of the season, and I have not sold yet. I'm looking forward to hopefully him making me a little bit of money so I could get out on him. I'm not saying I'm in on Michael Carter going forward entirely, but for this Sunday, I think it's a decent play.
And don't forget, it's Mike White season again, so let's see how the Jets do against Seattle. We'll talk about Seattle in just a couple minutes because there's one more guy on our list. But next, another decision that was made yesterday that I don't know, I think it flipped the NFL on its ear. It's like, why are we doing this right now? The Washington Commanders are going back to Carson Wentz. To me, this is a 3-time short right now. Do not hesitate. Carson Wentz is probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't care that he has these splash plays where he drops 1 or 2 in the bucket, and you're like, there's Carson. That's not Carson. Carson Wentz is a bum. He is no good at football, and short the hell out of him this week because the Washington Commanders, as much as they need it, to make the switch right now and take the confidence away from Tyler Heineke after you promoted it was season tickets from last year. You promoted your season tickets from next year with Tyler Heineke as your poster boy, and now you're benching the kid? This is a desperate play from a poverty franchise and a poverty owner. The Washington Commanders are dead to rights. They will not be making the playoffs. The Washington Commanders, I'm sorry, something's going to collapse where they're not going to win a game and Green Bay is just going to maul over their next two opponents in Minnesota and Detroit. Washington will miss the playoffs, and don't be surprised. Do not be surprised if there's questions with a potential sale of the team of a new head coach, because Ron Rivera can't. How many excuses can you have? They gave you a quarterback. You thought it was him, and then you said, it's the quarterback. We're stinking at quarterback right now. Let's make a change. And now you're going back. Why? Why? Because the rest of your team stinks. That's why. Like, Tyler Heineke is not the reason you're losing football games, okay? You're losing football games because you have a bad football team. So the fact that you're making a trade or a switch right now, to me, it's mind-numbing.
I think it's a little bit curious. I think the locker room was probably upset about it. Taylor Heineke is their dude, unless there's an injury that they're keeping under wraps. But it's not like that. Taylor Heineke is some. You need to protect his injury status. Like, he's not Tom Brady. It's just Taylor Heineke. I think it's a little bit disrespectful because the Commanders had fallen flat. At the time that Carson Wentz was benched, they had fallen flat. They were completely out of the playoff picture. I know it was a little early, but Taylor Heineke's play is what got them back in it, and I guess you could say the team rallied around him a little bit. Now, I think more so it was the run defense that kind of carried this team. Yeah, but Taylor Heineke and the run defense,
guys
they went
benefited
hand in hand.
from this. Like,
there was definitely, like, people
Samuel.
felt good about playing football on the Commanders when Taylor Heineke was the quarterback. Controlling their own destiny, going into the final 2 weeks of the season, it's a very curious move for me.
Right.
They may know something that we don't about Carson Wentz.
What's that?
I don't know. I doubt it. I'm all for it because as a Packer fan, I'm looking for Cleveland to dominate this game.
What could you have seen?
And open the door for us to get in the playoffs.
And don't give me practice and good reps and just he's done things the right way. Like, no, this is a dumb move on the listen. If they burns me and he throws for 500 this week, I'll be like, that's cool. You still stink. This is a bad move.
Ron Rivera.
Can you tell I'm just not a big fan of
Ron Rivera? I feel like if Ron Rivera, if the Commanders don't make the playoffs this year, he should probably get fired. And I know that Ron Rivera is a fan favorite. Everybody loves the guy across the league.
Riverboat Ron.
And I have no. I think Ron Rivera is a good head football coach, but he botched this season a little bit with the Carson Wentz thing.
He did.
The way he made a fool of himself in the
blamed
media,
it, and then he didn't.
If this doesn't translate into a playoff appearance, you got to go. But I don't know. The whole Commanders front office is in disarray, so maybe he just sticks around
falling apart
because he has respect and nobody else in that building does.
None, zero. All right, one more guy we want to talk about, and we just talked about the aforementioned Seattle Seahawks having to have this game. It might be time that the storybook is over. The fairy tale is over. Geno Smith, might be time to short you, buddy. And I love the comeback, and I love the fact that he could possibly win NFL Comeback Player of the Year. I think that's the odds are not completely in his favor, but they're up there. He's in the conversation. But in a game, the Seattle
CMC,
he probably he wasn't. Was he hurt last year? The whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Chuba Hubbard thing. But in any event, Geno Smith. It doesn't.
Definitely CMC.
Yeah, probably definitely CMC then. In fact, I'm like, yeah, 100%. All right, so he was in the conversation for a little while, was Geno Smith, and I don't think the storybook ends in a positive way. The Jets defense, Robert Saleh, he's going to have those boys ready to play, and they've been carrying this team. There's no offense to show for it in New York as far as the Jets are concerned. So what I see here is I see Geno Smith, while he probably will throw a touchdown or two, he will also cost you a couple drives as well. I think it's a short game for Geno. I think it's a bad look for the Seahawks. We talked about it in the middle of the year. Is Geno the future of this team? I still believe he could be, but don't be surprised if they're not looking elsewhere, but they did acquire some serious capital for one Russell Wilson. So just keep that in mind as you go forward. But this week in particular, in a must-win situation, I think Geno falls a little short.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. Nobody has done well against the Jets secondary, so I don't expect Geno, who's been middling at best over the last couple weeks, to do any better than a lot of other guys that have failed. I think Geno played himself into another contract. I think he deserves it. Seattle's not in a spot where they're really going to have the ability to go after a quarterback high in the draft. They could turn into a projects type situation where even if they bring in a guy, it's going to be Geno's going to be able to compete with him. Geno will be the starting quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks next year. So for that reason, you say, okay, you can invest in him because I think he gets the contract. But if we're talking about just this week, going long or short, I'm going short on Geno. Yeah. I mean, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, these dudes are legit.
Ball hawks. They're players.
There's like no separation whatsoever in that secondary. And not to mention, they get after the quarterback a little bit too. When the Jets put pressure on the quarterback, it changes a lot of things about that. Not just their defense, but their team. Dude, they made Zach Wilson 5-2. at some point this year. Zach Wilson beat Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson beat Josh Allen.
And he puts that on his resume like a feather in the cap. Like, no, you didn't.
You know, and really it was the defense that did all of that.
Yeah.
So Geno has very little chance. And this game is in the middle.
Seattle.
It's in Seattle.
Pretty
So
sure
that helps.
Seattle,
That helps.
But what I will say is this, just for comparison purposes, right? The Seattle Seahawks, if they win the next 2 games, they have a chance to make the playoffs, right? And I don't know if they control their own. I don't think they do at this point because they're on the outs. So having said that, it's a comparable move. For the Washington Commanders to move off from Taylor Heineke to Carson Wentz would be as if Pete Carroll decided out of nowhere to say, you know what, it could be Drew Lock time. That's the guy that's going to get us in. We're going to bench Geno Smith. That's the same thing. It's a literally same playing field. Geno Smith has got you there, but again, tough situation to be in. I don't like the matchup.
Bro, even I'm looking at Geno, like even the last couple of weeks, Geno, outside of last week, Geno has been really solid. His interceptions are up a little bit over the last month or so. So I guess he's kind of tailing off a little bit, but I'm looking at Geno and I'm very impressed as a whole.
And that's why he's probably earned himself a nice little 4-year deal or something like that.
So he's going to get paid. I'm liking Geno's stats here. And like, especially in the beginning of the year, he was leading the league in like, yards per attempt and things like that. So it wasn't like he was dinking and dunking. I think Tyler Lockett injury
might come back, though.
Really hurt him, and that's what I'm seeing. Like,
I thought he'd come back. Maybe next week.
I think he's back. I think he's coming back. But like looking at it, like when Lockett went down, that's kind of when Geno went down.
Yeah, because it's a one-trick pony. You got DK Metcalf over there, and that's really
it's a shame that even if Tyler Lockett plays, he's not going to be open. So
this is true.
Short and Geno nonetheless.
Short Geno.
You can go 5 times on that short and make yourself some money here.
All right, sounds like a plan. Those are your day traded in plays for week number 17. Now, again, tomorrow we'll dive into the week 17 slate. There is a lot of games with a lot of implications for playoff scenarios, but also those are the guys you really want to get in on now because you know they're going to be playing their asses off and trying to make you some money over on the Mojo Market. So do us a favor. Follow us right now. Head on over to the social media and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Instagram's been blowing up. We've been doing a solid job over on Instagram. And it's not even like clickbaity stuff. It's actually stuff that might actually come to fruition. But anyway, follow us over there. Join the Discord. It's a daily conversation each and every day to talk to other players on the Mojo Market, see what these guys are doing, share your portfolios, who's going long, who's going short. Some app suggestions are out there, so people are just getting involved in trying to better this thing as more sports and states are coming to you in 2023. We're very excited about that. But first, before we get there, we got to get to Week 17. Starts tonight. Thursday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys, Tennessee Titans. For Dave Sturchio, Chris Gucci, A5 behind the glass. This has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. We'll see you guys back here to preview the rest of week number 17.
Tom Brady has spent as many days in the NFL as he has spent not in the NFL.
It's alarming.